It's like I don't remember the Boba Fett song, but I remember like the Mandalorian theme song where it's like da 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 da.
Oh, that's awesome! That sounds great. Dude, I got
E major, and then move your E major, move your E major up to here.
okay.
Mandalorian, Indiana Jones, and the Temple of Doom. So yeah, so the Mandalorian theme song, and then the Boba Fett theme song.
Very similar.
Yeah, similar. I haven't quite sussed out. Like these are sort of like sibling shows, and yeah. So we're talking about the Book of Boba Fett, the new show on Disney Plus, kind of a follow-up or prequel or whatever to The Mandalorian. I'm Tom Scioli, author of Jack Kirby, The Epic Life of the King of Comics, and Fantastic Four Grand Design.
I'm Matt Zeoli.
And you can follow me on Twitter at Tom Scioli and on Instagram at Tom_Scioli. And you can check out my Patreon. Go to patreon.com and search Tom Scioli.
Follow me on Instagram at cinema_tomb.
And this is the Total Recall Show. And yeah, we're talking about the Book of Boba Fett, brand new. I thought like, oh, I'm gonna go on there and I'm gonna binge
Same
the
here.
whole thing, but it's like, okay, one episode, maybe for the best.
We did it with Mandalorian. We'll come back and do a part 2 when the series wraps.
Yeah, like, and again, like we're seeing this in real time because Mandalorian came out. I didn't have Disney Plus. Mandalorian came out. Everybody's talking about, oh, it's so great or whatever. And then like, after all the hubbub kind of died down, like I was able to watch it. But with this, like, in on the ground floor. Love it. I love, starting with the Sarlacc pit.
Yes.
Like,
oh my god.
Even as a kid, I did not like the way Boba Fett met his end. It seemed in no way final. And then in the comics and stuff, almost from day one, they kind of rejected it. Like, I never read this comic, but there was a comic around the time of like Return of the Jedi where Boba Fett does pretty much what he does in this show. He breaks out of the Sarlacc pit after everybody's gone. And then by the end of the comic, he ends up back in the Sarlacc pit because, like, that's kind of how these licensed comics were back then. You have to, like, you can take them out of the box, but you got to put them back in. It was kind of a famous thing with the Star Trek comics because it was like after Star Trek II: The Wrath of Khan, it's like they wake up Spock. Spock's back. He's in the comics and stuff. But then, like by the time Star Trek 3 comes out, they have to get Spock back in his coffin, in that proton torpedo case or whatever on Genesis.
That's so funny that they had to put him back in there because when I was a kid, before I even realized because the first time I had an inkling of Boba Fett escaping from the Sarlacc pit was during play we wanted him out.
We want him back in the game.
We tried to we wished Boba Fett out before, and then there was like Tales from the Jabba's Palace book that I think I read that I'm like, oh shit, somebody's getting Boba Fett out. It's escaping in the comics.
Yeah, like so that was in like the Marvel comic that was concurrent with this, and then like I think like in the early '90s they had a comic called Dark Empire, which I showed you.
Yeah, that's a great one.
Yeah,
Thank you.
And I love that, and that like. In that comic, it's like, yeah, of course I got out of the Sarlacc pit. Like, they don't even show it. It's just like, Boba Fett's back, and he's, and it's like, yeah, like, I was on board with that.
I love how it picks up, like, immediately after Return of the Jedi.
Yeah.
Jabba's sail barge is, like, the wreckage is there.
Yeah, all the setup in this show is, like, so, it's logical. It's like, well, of course this is what happens. But it's super cool seeing it. Like, it's super cool seeing him in the Sarlacc pit and working his way out and stuff.
I always imagine what it looked like in there.
Yeah, so we get to see that. And then the thing that, like, and maybe this is in a bunch of comics that I haven't read, like the Tales of Jabba's Palace or whatever, but, like, it like, didn't occur to me, but, like, it's like, yeah, of course, like, everybody involved, like, Jabba the Hutt and his whole crew all get killed in Return of the Jedi, so when it's natural that he would like get out of the Sarlacc pit and be like, oh, I can take this place over because it's like basically deserted.
Squatting.
Yeah. So I thought that was great. Again, it's like just like probably came up in like the very first story meeting for this show, but it's cool to see. It's
awesome.
Cool to see. It's cool to see like the empty Jabba's palace. Like I was just like on board, from that first minute.
Tamora Morrison, great actor, reminds me of like a buffed up Bob Hoskins. If like Bob Hoskins was like Mr. Olympia or whatever, that's the vibe.
Like I didn't realize, because again, this thing just kind of sprung on me, and it's hard to keep up with everything, like in pop culture terms, like with all these like streaming shows and stuff, particularly like Disney Plus. Like I still haven't like made my way through Hawkeye or anything, but
neither.
Like I didn't realize till the end credits. This episode directed by Robert Rodriguez,
yes,
who had directed some of the Mandalorian episodes.
Oh yeah,
but it was like super cool because I'm like, man, I'm really enjoying this. And then it's like, oh, Robert Rodriguez, of course. And it's like the Jon Favreau, and then I forget who the other guy is, Filoni or something.
Oh yeah.
Dave Filoni or Mike Filoni or something. And Billy Baloney.
He's like, John, he's like, who are you bringing in for this episode? He's like, my buddy, Tony Baloney.
Yeah, Tony Baloney coming in. So, but yeah, so Jon Favreau. So it is like, it's a direct, like follow up to The Mandalorian. And, we had kind of theorized in our Mandalorian episodes that like, it seemed like The Mandalorian might have began life as like a Boba Fett TV show or a Boba Fett movie where it's like, okay, and then they decided to create a new character, which I think was a good idea, to create this new character with like zero baggage. Because Boba Fett does have a little bit of baggage, and it's like, really, we just love that cool costume and like, and the thing that goes, and the missiles and the flamethrower. Like, we love all that, so we don't really. It's kind of cool to have a fresh start with the guy inside, because I was not, I was not thrilled with like the answers we got about Boba Fett's history in the prequels.
Yes.
Your mileage may vary, but I personally was not super thrilled with all the stuff we learned.
And like you're right. It was nice to have we got our cake and ate it too. It's like we got the fucking costume, but we didn't have the baggage, the Boba baggage.
Now this has the baggage again, but it's cool, and like they're kind of keeping that stuff in the like they're not like rubbing it in your face. Like they do have like some scenes from the prequels and stuff. And then also like having this actor, like he's good, and I'm glad that this, like, just as like one human being to another, I'm glad this guy's getting work, and I'm glad that it's like the same. Yes. But it's like I'm not too thrilled with him. Like I like the guy who's in the Mandalorian suit. I'm not too thrilled with this guy, but whatever. It's like I think as a super fan, like my super fan, my inner nerd or whatever, angry nerd is not thrilled with this. But
we mentioned Boba Ferrigno. Because when Barry Bonds, former Pirates slugger, and then San Francisco Giants slugger Bonds, they're like, his head expanded, and they were like,
can his head still fit in that Boba
Fett helmet?
The Boba Fett helmet looks huge.
It could fit two of our heads in that fucking helmet.
Well, I guess the Boba Fett helmet like expands.
It expands.
But like George Lucas did not really think it through with like the prequels and stuff. So like, it's like people age, and I guess like they're all from different planets, so everybody's aging at different rates. So like, Ewan McGregor becomes Alec Guinness, and then in the time span it takes for like baby Luke Skywalker and baby Princess Leia to become teenagers, and it's like it's been like a long time since those prequels, and Ewan McGregor doesn't look like Alec Guinness right now. So but then Boba Fett was the other thing. Like, he's a little kid in the story, and then now this is taking place during Return of the Jedi, and he's like aged 40 years.
40 years, and he's like, my name is Boba Fett. I come from the planet Annabelle.
Like they seem to have made the decision, like, and again, I don't know how much of this stuff was contractual when they bought Lucasfilm, when Disney bought Lucasfilm, but like my thought would be like, okay, you're buying Star Wars, now it's time for like a fresh start. So like I would just like ignore the prequels and then maybe like completely redo them and like maybe cherry pick whatever. But it's like, no, they're committed, and like I know one of the writers on The Mandalorian is like a huge like prequel trilogy fan, and like especially season 2 incorporates a ton of like prequel trilogy stuff. So like, it's just like, you know, for my money, it's like you have my permission to ignore that stuff, to put it in an Orwellian memory hole, start from scratch, take the best of it. You know, like Jen D. Tartakovsky with the Clone Wars cartoon did a good job of like just doing sort of like taking those broad strokes, but then like doing them right.
Yeah, I'm still losing it over the fucking like the Boba Ferrigno.
Like, so like we're kind of and he kind of like Boba Fett kind of starts as you know, he's brought into this like sort of modern era, this like Disney era of Star Wars as sort of like this fun little callback, or this like fun little, you know, wink to the fans in Mandalorian. But then it's like now he's like got his own show. So like now it's like, okay, this is the guy. And again, like it's fun. Like I'm past that now.
Yeah.
Like I'm able to accept this. Like this is what Boba Fett looks like. Maybe this is what happens to clones after like they start to rot. You know,
you're bulking. You're in the bulking phase. But yeah, they're like.
I mean, he is like. He's like
Dr. Moreau.
Well, yeah, I was gonna say he's Marlon Brando in Apocalypse Now, but yeah, Island of Dr. Moreau, Brando, yeah.
When they're doing look at that.
Yeah,
Boba Fett was never that fucking swole.
Yeah, they my toy, because like you see the guy who was in the Boba Fett costume in the 80s, and he's basically a skeleton.
Yeah,
he's basically
Jeremy Bulloch.
Yeah,
he's just a svelte guy. He's like. All right, after this, we shoot here at Pinewood. I'm gonna go smoke cigarettes with the mods at like some like down at like the pub or whatever.
He was like the Boba Fett like 3.5-inch action figure, and then
he's the power of the Force.
Well, this guy is the like doll sized Star Wars figures.
I was gonna say the 90s.
Yeah, no,
the
Power
like
of the Force 90s where they're like you know, Image Comics kind of, you know, bulked out.
Even Leia's like, she was hitting the Nautilus.
I mean, it is cool seeing him in the Jabba chair, and it's like, yeah, that makes perfect sense. And I am curious about the stormtrooper that's like in the Sarlacc pit. There's like a stormtrooper that he finds in there. And like one of my thoughts, like, you know, having watched Return of the Jedi a zillion times, was like, okay, the Empire's got to know that the rebels might make an attempt to reclaim Han Solo from Jabba the Hutt. So how come there isn't a bunch of stormtroopers sort of staked out there? Why aren't, you know, and especially with like Empire Strikes Back, it was like they were just constantly dogged by the Empire. They just could not shake them. And so like I always did wonder why that wasn't there. And I know there was like a version of the script where there was sort of like a trap set up, and where they capture, there's like the sandstorm scene or whatever, and then they were gonna you know, the Empire was going to capture Luke on Tatooine. Oh, so it's like they were kind of there waiting for him, and then take him to the Emperor and stuff. And you wouldn't have gotten the visit with Yoda, and you wouldn't have. And the main thing the reason Lucas decided not to do that is this is like going to be our last time seeing these characters. You know, as far as he was concerned, mm-hmm. you know, very possibly. So he wanted like one last moment where you get the whole gang together. Like they split up during Empire, so let's have a moment where those three who like have such a great chemistry, let's have a moment in Return of the Jedi where they get to kind of be together and enjoy each other's company before they like go their separate ways. So that was so I don't know if that storm, because that was stormtrooper, it's like, what's a stormtrooper doing in the Sarlacc pit? So maybe that's going to pay off in some way. We're going to find out what the Empire was up to when they got a place where they're sending Han Solo's body and, like, you know, perfect, like, bait for a trap. And, like, what was the Empire up to?
That's amazing. Like, I'm so... oh, my God.
Mm-hmm. This is fun. This is, you know...
He's going to be digested over, 1,000 years?
Yeah. Yeah, so there was, like, you know, just, like, acid everywhere. But, you know.
He, and then when he climbed out, the Sarlacc pit looked dead, so he used his flamethrower to, like, roasted it from the inside. Because, like... He crawled out of the sand. I remember, like, didn't he, like, use his rocket? I thought he used his rocket pack to, like, shoot himself out of there.
Yeah, I think that's what happened in the comic, yeah. Yeah, again, so, like, some of this stuff, like, is, you know, shouldn't be a shock. You know, like if you, you know, got into like any of the novels or the comics or stuff, like a lot of the stuff that happens in like some people with like Force Awakens were like, oh man, like kind of bummed out that like this or that happened. But it's like, if you've read like the comics, and like, it's not like, yay, the Empire's done, and you know, it's like they continue those like kind of stories, and like the Emperor having clones, and some people are like, hey, how come there were clones of the Emperor? It's like, well, you know, it's all, you know, like all this stuff was, you know, seemed perfectly logical.
I need to also get my New Year's resolution to lose some weight. I look worse than 2 shirtless Gamorrean guards.
Okay. Those Gamorrean guards are like slimmer than I picked. Like less slimmer than the toy. That toy is like kind of a rotund. You know, this like Mos Eisley looking city that they have here. It looks like the model that like Indiana Jones like puts the stick into.
Oh,
for, like,
the Well,
you know,
of,
well
Souls.
of Souls. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, my goal, it's like, what's your fitness goals for 2022? I'm like, to look better than the Gamorrean.
Yeah, like, okay, it's good to set goals that are achievable, so you can have stages and you can build off of like tiny victories.
Yeah.
So step 1, look better than the Gamorrean guards.
Because they look better right now. Yeah. They look a lot better than I do.
So then step 2, look better than Max Rebo. And step 3 is like, look better than Boba Fett. Yeah.
Because, yeah, he's like, they're like, what does that button do? He's like, it's my supplements.
Like, I'm also shocked with all this like digital streaming, like that they don't have like where you can watch like the unaltered. Because I need to break out my DVDs.
I know.
When I want to watch Star Wars or Empire Strikes Back or Return of the Jedi, because you know, there's still not like a streaming option. And these DVDs that I have, it's not like, oh, I bought the DVD. It was like in like 2005 I bought like the DVD set that has, as a bonus disc, you can watch the original unaltered, you know, movies.
I'm hoarding my physical media because, yeah, if I don't hold on to them, it's like, if they're only digital, it's like George Lucas is like, well, I feel like I'm changing this today. It's like, oh shit, well, I don't have any way to like.
Yeah, I wonder, like, I kind of wonder with streaming why there isn't more of that, where like it isn't like every time you watch a movie it's like a little different, or you know, where they're like, oh, you know, let's fix that little thing.
They're like, this print isn't locked. It's like, I'm releasing the movie and I still have rights to edit. Like,
yeah, right.
Like I have forever edit rights. I can like change it at any point.
It is nice to see that like Max Rebo didn't get destroyed during, because it made me think back. It's like,
I know.
Oh, was he on the barge? I guess he wasn't on the barge. I guess he was just like in the palace, and then they like moved on to their next gig. So it's good to see. But the band's not together anymore, so I don't know if he's playing with one of the guys from the Modal Nodes. So I don't know if they're trying to form like a Traveling Wilbury supergroup or something.
Dude, it was like what you mentioned in The Beatles Get Back, when, remember, George and Ringo were off to the side doing their own thing. They're at the piano. He's like,
one of the Modal Nodes and
the Max Rebo band
kind of like gone off to the side. You know, that thing, like, I've been listening to like more kind of like interviews and stuff with the Beatles, and Ringo was talking about that. He was talking about how like, you know, writing music was like, it was kind of hard for him. Like, he could start a song, but he couldn't finish a song. And he said like, he's got some songs that have like, you know, 30 verses, and he couldn't. And so he would talk to George, and George would like help him kind of like rein stuff in and like produce stuff. So like that was kind of cool. And you see like the birth of that in that Get Back.
It's we need to do the Get Back version of the Max Rebo band and the Modal Nodes too. It's like it shows like Figure into Anne like sitting there, and it's like you hear the notes for that. But it's off. It's just off, and he's like, wait, play that again. Somebody in the is Paul, like a workhorse in the Modal Nodes.
Well, you know that like Cy Snoodles is not bringing anything to the table. Like Cy Snoodles is like a diva, shows up at the last minute, you know,
and. So he's smacked out of his mind.
Cy Snoodles
nodding off.
Cy Snoodles is I'm assuming supposed to be Mick Jagger, you know, just because of the lips.
Yes.
Because the early episodes of The Mandalorian, it was like, okay, Jon Favreau, you know, he's a kid in the 70s. he was playing with his Star Wars toys. So he's coming up with like, okay, here's what I'm doing with my sand crawler. Here's what I'm doing, you know.
Love it.
But then like for season 2, it was kind of like, okay, I gotta let go. There's like a younger generation who like grew up on the prequels, so I gotta let them, you know. And so it'll be interesting to see, you know, with Boba Fett, like what because it seems like Boba Fett is like a little, you know, like I'm seeing it, like it's not quite as much of the nostalgia fest. Like after they kind of set up, like, okay, here's where you saw Boba Fett last, you know, in the Sarlacc pit. Here's how he got out. It's kind of like this like rooftop chase feels like a modern spin on things, and like those guys with
parkour.
Like yeah, exactly, yeah, Tatooine parkour, and like those guys how they had those like little laser shields, and then
yes.
They had like the sort of like shock stick like they had in like the Force Awakens and stuff.
Yeah. You're right. Beyond the armor and like the early setup with like Jabba's palace, it's like this. If you just turned this on and didn't realize it was the Book of Boba Fett, it's like, what is this?
Yeah, and then the story. It's like, it seems kind of like Lawrence of Arabia, like the Tusken him with the Tusken Raiders. It's kind of like Lawrence of Arabia, like he begrudgingly like earns their respect and stuff, and the desert. And I mean, Lawrence of Arabia, you know, was like, you know, like a big reference for, you know, like Lucas, and then Spielberg, you know, with Indiana Jones.
The
Lawrence of Arabia was like Spielberg's favorite movie. You know?
Oh wow, I didn't know that was his favorite. He's in the Bacta tank.
Yeah, the Bacta tank. Yeah.
Yeah, Boba Fett, he's always been that crusty, Tom.
You know, the Bacta tank didn't smooth any of that out. Yeah, it is like, it's you know, there's plenty of in-story explanations you can come up with for why, you know, Boba Fett aged a lot between Empire Strikes Back and shortly after Return. You know, like, I mean, my thought watching The Mandalorian was that when he's in the Sarlacc pit, he's getting like stung, like he's basically like a bee sting or something. Like all those little points are like pricking. So that's why he went from being like heroin chic in Empire Strikes Back to like
he's got his beetle boot. If the camera pans down, he's got beetle boots on.
Those Boba Fett shoes are kind of like beetle boots.
Yeah, and he's like, "Hey, I'm going down to the disc," or he's going down to the Studio 54 or whatever.
And they keep doing like little, you know, little nuance changes on like the Jawas and stuff, and so then for like the Tusken Raiders, these guys have like a little different, and it does look like the outfits in Lawrence of Arabia.
Really cool. I like seeing the different, like, it's like, oh yeah, all the Tusken Raiders might not have the same, like, I like their like
and they have the Tusken, and you see like Tusken Raider kids involved in it, and it's like, oh, those are the kids that Annie killed.
Annie kills. It's like, your days are numbered. And you get Red Greedo here.
Yep.
They
Pink Greedo. Yeah, they have like a pink Bib Fortuna, whatever his
is it Twi'lek?
Twi'lek. Yeah, they have, you know, and like, I don't. It seemed like extra obscene seeing somebody with like kind of like pink skin and then those like long tails in the back, like it's a little like when it's just like they're like green or like pale or something, but pink. It's kind of like, ooh, what am I looking at here?
It's like his name's Billy Two Dicks Head.
Oh, when he sees this like house on Tatooine getting like, and the people getting beat up, like, I mean, I, you know, kind of spaced out for a minute. I'm like, oh, is he watching like Aunt Beru and Uncle Owen getting killed? I'm like, oh no, the timing it doesn't work out. You know, but maybe this is the guy who takes over the Aunt Beru and Uncle Owen farm, because it kind of looks like it.
Yeah, he's like he goes over. They're all waiting there, and then they go over to the place, and the guy's like, "Oh, thank you so much," and they just like they spray their own tag on the wall.
You know, like through all this Star Wars like sequels and sequel trilogy and stuff, you don't see Luke like mourning Aunt Beru. Like, he's not, you know, he always talks about his father, who he like never knew, but he's never talking about like Aunt Beru and Uncle Owen, the two people who like did the day in, day out hard work of raising him. He's never like, this, like when he blows up the Death Star, he's not like, this one's for Aunt Beru. You know?
He's like, who again?
Yeah, exactly. Like, you know, it was like, oh yeah, they were a plot device, you know, to establish, yeah.
They're like, This one goes out to my Uncle Owen and Aunt Beru who were burnt to a crisp, man.
Yeah, like in Return of the Jedi, he wasn't like saying to Darth Vader, he was like, "What the fuck was up with torching Aunt Beru and Uncle Owen? That was your brother.
Wait,
You killed my uncle, you motherfucker." He's bumming out about Ben. He's bumming out about Anakin Skywalker's my father. Not a word about Aunt Beru or Uncle Owen.
Darth Vader doesn't know they're dead, and he actually enrages Darth Vader more to
Yeah,
power him up to kill Luke.
That's a good plot twist because he was just kind of like, okay, go look for these droids.
Luke.
He wasn't like, look for the droids, but that's right, my brother and my stepbrother and his wife live around.
You
here.
nerdy George Lucas facsimile. You wait a minute. My brother's dead.
Well, this is making me think the Book of Beru and Owen, because you thought you saw the death of Boba Fett when he goes in the Sarlacc pit, but it's like there's more to the story. Maybe they'll do where it's like you thought you saw the death of Aunt Beru and Uncle Owen, but it turns out those like charred skeletons were like somebody else who came, like that Aunt Beru and Uncle Owen were off on an errand, or they got word that trouble was coming, and then like somebody was dropping by to like drop off some preserves or something, and then got torched. Like there's more to the story, so we could see what happened to Aunt Beru and Uncle Owen.
What goofy? It would be a goofy '70s actor would be the one that was. He's like, I'm here for the preserves or whatever. It's like Don Knotts.
I was gonna say it would be like Joey Suzu from Empty Nest. Like it's him and
Don.
Yeah, well, it would have to be like a couple that would show up. So who would be the
Joe Isuzu and
who would be like it was Joe Isuzu and Park Overall show up. They're like, hey, what's going on here? And then they get tortured by the stormtroopers, and Aunt Beru and Uncle Owen are off doing it.
They're safe.
And you can bring back the exact same actors who played Aunt Beru and Uncle Owen in the prequels because they're going to be a little older now.
Yes,
and you
perfect.
Maybe add a little makeup or whatever, make them look like Aunt Beru and Uncle Owen.
I love it.
Yeah,
that's a great idea.
The Book of Beru and Owen.
He's Darth Vader. He's like, I was going to let you go, Luke, but now that you told me my brother's dead, I'm going to kill your ass. I didn't know they were dead. He's like, we didn't have dental record identification on Tatooine. Mm-hmm. Oh, Goro shows up.
Yeah, Goro. Yeah, like I they're kind of like mixing and matching the toys they grow up with. I feel like that was a Battlestar Galactica action figure that they might have like brought into their play.
Yeah,
because there is like a 6-arm Battlestar Galactica figure, and their scale was like a little bigger than the Star Wars guys.
You're right. It's like Greedo guy got punched.
Yeah, these Greedo guys, things don't go well for Greedo. And in the prequel, seeing like what a cute little kid Greedo was, it's a real bummer. Like what happens to him in Star Wars. Maybe like Lucas, maybe he really knew what he was doing, because it's like, there's all these scenes where like we cheer the death of a character, and then like maybe he was trying to teach us a lesson, showing that like, even Greedo was a cute little kid once, and it's like
Greedo doesn't deserve to die.
Yeah, Greedo doesn't deserve to die. I feel like they were. Oh, and Boba Fett too, where it's like Boba Fett's this badass. His death is like a laugh in Return of the Jedi. Like there's a burp after he dies in Return of the Jedi, and then it's like, okay, well, Boba Fett was like this cute little kid, and he had a dad, and Jar Jar Binks is here, or whatever it is he says.
Hey, look, my favorite actor is Sam Neill, or whatever. Right, yeah. Like, have you heard of Flight of the Conchords?
What is the line where it's like the one alien shows up and he's like, Dad, Jar Jar Binks is here, or it was somebody. It was like one of those like long neck balloon.
Oh
creatures.
My god, I can't remember. I'm still thinking about...
Dad, Neelix is here.
Neelix is here. It's like right off the coast of Australia, I mean.
Yeah.
To Cloud City.
Yeah.
I'm still laughing at the burp. Like, in this special edition, George Lucas, he goes... then he goes... There's a huge fart. Instead of Weta for the Get Back, they go to ILM. They're like, it's the vision I've always wanted. It's like, this is the last time to see the burp. It's like...
They show, like, a flashback scene of, like, like the Attack of the Clones, where young Boba Fett picks up his dad's helmet, and like I was waiting for like the head to like fall out of the helmet when he looks up, bloop, and then roll. Like this isn't supposed to be Jango Fett in the Return of the Jedi era. This is supposed to be Boba Fett. This is supposed to be his son, you know.
Jerry Bullock, he's like smoking he's like leaning up against. He looks cool. His feet are crossed with the Beetle boots on. He takes his helmet off. It's a mod haircut.
But yeah, there it is, written by Jon Favreau, and it's like I'll bet they took storyboards and concept art from their like initial, Boba Fett pitch that became the Mandalorian. Book of Boba Fett. Book of Boba Fett. Book of Boba Fett. Book of Boba Fett. John Williams, man, what a genius. Edited by Jeff Seaback, Rick Seaback's cousin. Ludwig Göransson.
Holy Tatooine, a story of churches in Tatooine.
The place to get the best hot dogs on Tatooine.
Tatooine Memories.
We're calling this one Tatooine Memories.
Tusken Raider encampments that aren't there anymore.
The best sandwich you can get at Mos Eisley. We went, instead of Isley's, we go to Mos Eisley's for the Mos Eisley skyscraper cone and the Mos Eisley chipped ham sandwich.
It's like, whenever
Mos Eisley's chopped chipped ham.
Whenever I'm in Mos Eisley's, I get a chopped ham sandwich.
And a skyscraper cone to wash it down.
A story of Tatooine in 15 objects.
The Tusken Raiders versus the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Double. It's like, wait, what are we talking about? Myron Kirby.
You better watch out for Jawas. Because you can get the best Jawa juice at this diner off of Route 88. It's like
Docking Bay 88.
Like they have like a Planet Pennsylvania. They need to set some of these shows in like the sequel universe, because so far like the only Disney Plus shows that are in the sequel universe are like the Lego ones,
Oh yeah,
they'll do like Lego ones with like Poe Dameron and stuff, but they need like what is Boba Fett up to during the Kylo Ren era, and and he looks more like how Boba Fett would have aged, in that, going forward, like, another 20 or 30 years. That chip-chopped ham, Mos Eisley's chip-chopped ham, the skyscraper cone at Mos Eisley's. We're calling this one Bespin Memories. Somebody find his severed hand. One of the Ugnaught mill workers find his severed hand in the furnace. Nuclear furnace at the bottom of Bespin, Clyde City. Clyde City. The Ugnaughts.
The Ugnaughts. He pulled that hand out. He said he was the one that found that hand. It's like Luke's hand. He's got his class ring on his finger.
Like an Ugnaught tailgating party.
Here we go.
Ugnaughts.
Here we go. It's like they drink Cloud City brew. Instead of Iron City, it's
Cloud City. Yes, CC Light. Cloud City Light
brew. Oh, that's my beer of choice.
Yeah, because you could see like the Ugnaughts having like a bunch of stills. Dude, and like somebody fishes Luke's hand out of the Cloud City light.
Tom, well, you got to draw a can of Cloud City, but instead of the Iron City red logo, it's an Ugnaught head like on the can.
Yeah.
When the Ugnaughts aren't working the nuclear reactor to keep Cloud City in the air, they're making homemade brew. They call it Cloud City brew. I like
Cloud City Light.
Cloud City Light.
Cloud City brew and Cloud City Light.
They like to kick back, kick their feet up, and
crack open a couple Cloud Cities. Orange City.
It shows the Ugnaughts. They clink them, and the beer like foams out over. It's like a frosty cold one. Crack open a few.
Get together your favorite Ugnaughts, your favorite group of Ugnaughts. We're from the Ugnaught neighborhood of Cloud City. We keep our chairs out for parking. our twin
Pod
pods.
Cloud Core.
Lobot.
There's Lobot. What a wet blanket. He called the Cloud City police on us
For keeping our folding chairs out.
Lobot, what a wet blanket that guy is.
Lobot. He like a little thing that opens up and he like sticks to Cloud City brews in there. Little straw comes down.
He got pulled over for flying that twin pod cloud car with a couple of road pops. Flying a twin pod cloud car while intoxicated. They made him.
He's got his terrible towel. What was it? What were there were like the guards, the Bespin guards.
The Bespin guards.
Them Bespin guards.
Like that Lobot's a party animal. He's got that hat. You're right.
The mustaches on the Bespin guard action figures is like a classic Pittsburgh mustache.
Oh yeah, it's like, hey,
Bill Carr. They got Bill Carr to pose for the action figure. He turns like his cap around, and it's like a pirate's cap.
He's like, see those two guys? Those guys with the mullet. Those Bespin guards with the mullets. Donnie Iris was here last week playing Cloud City on tour.
Han Solo, he's a space pirate. He's just a space. He's a crusty old space pirate. You got a lot of nerve showing your face around here, you old pirate. We gotta save Three Rivers Stadium.
Oh no, Three Rivers, they're gonna detonate it.
That force is strong with this one. Yeah, like Luke has to fly a mission where he implodes Three Rivers.
Wait! Oh my God! We've got to do a video. You have to do a video where they're like, when he's doing the run, fires the thing. Then you smash
the Three Rivers Stadium imploding. Yeah.
And then they're flying away. They're like, "Great job, you did it, kid," or whatever.
Right. That was 1 in a million, kid.
If there's a way, it shows like the far shot of the stadium before it collapses, but somehow you have to edit the lasers to go down into the stadium.
Yeah, it goes,
then it collapses.
That's great. Yeah, Pittsburghers love to see stuff implode because I remember there was that, and then there was like a bridge.
Oh yeah, anything implode.
So I see you have your Boba Fett Lego set over there.
Yeah, I've got it for me for Christmas. It's gonna bookend the storm.
Yeah, that's nice. Yeah, it's a nice scale.
And
that would not fit on his head.
That's the Jeremy Bullock.
Jeremy it would fit on
heroin
Jeremy
chic, like his mod. This other one, yeah, they're like Barry Bonds' hat's large. Boba Fett's helmet, like we could both use it as like you could sit it in like a teacup at Disney World.
Yeah, I was gonna say like Boba Fett's. It's like a batting helmet. It like fits. It fits over his old Boba Fett helmet. It fits over Jeremy Bullock's helmet. It goes underneath Dave Filoni's helmet or whatever his name is.
You have like they have to keep extending it, so they like cut it and they add like fake. Like
it's like a like one of those nesting dolls. Those
the Russian
matryoshka dolls. It's like you take off his helmet. And there's another Boba Fett helmet underneath. You take that off. Another Boba Fett helmet. That's how like if they brought like Jeremy Bullock out of retirement to play Boba Fett's like stand-in in this, they'd have to like stack a couple of them.
He looks like Barney Fife from like in the Boba Fett outfit. He's no good to me, Dad.
Yeah, Barney Fife. That they need to do like a Barney Fife equivalent for the Star Wars universe.
Oh my God, that Lobot! There's Lobot over there.
And then have like a Mr. Furley type in the cantina. How come he wasn't on the Star Wars special, the Star Wars Christmas special?
I'm still laughing at Rick Seaback getting that. What's that cone? The chip chop ham at Moss Eisley's.
The mile high skyscraper can at Moss Eisley's chip chop ham.
Tom, you got to do the Pittsburgh.
Yeah,
the Star Wars Pittsburgh series with Moss Eisley.
I mean, I think that can be like we could do a series of videos. And like you could like bleach your beard white and your hair white. I mean, we could go around a different star. Just use this green backdrop, and you could go around a different and do like a Rick Seaback parody, except it's Star Wars stuff. And you get a Miss Eisley's Chip Chop Ham. Maybe we save that. Maybe we don't even put that in this episode, so we can do our Miss Eisley Chip Chop Ham video. You could go to
like voiceovers. on the commercial.
You could do you could go to like a costume shop and get like a Colonel Sanders wig and beard, and you could be Rick Seaback.
Yeah, or like we slice just shots from the movie, and then they're doing this. Yeah, Luke and the X-Wings are doing the run. They're like the famous run on Three Rivers. Mm-hmm. He's like, there's an exhaust port right where Myron Cope sits.
It's no bigger than a warp rat. It ain't no bigger than a warp rat. I used to bullseye them in my T-16 back in
Bothan
back in the Berg.
Bothan spies have located the exhaust port. It's located right next door to Myron's seat. All the alcohol that he keeps in the booth is combustible. Actually, Myron himself is imbued with alcohol. He himself is super...
Aimed directly for Myron Cope.
Myron Cope. Those rum fumes will ignite... like...
it exploded on the surface. Oh, it impacted on the surface. You know, while we're on the subject, just some nerd stuff. Like,
I'm gonna die. I can't go on anymore.
I'm not a fan of the way people nitpick the stuff with blowing up the Death Star. I feel like that stuff's kind of like sacred. You don't mess around with it. And thanks. And Kevin Smith and all that. You know, they're all like, oh, that's they built this exploding thing or whatever. But like. My thought is that exhaust port did have some kind of like grill or some kind of like cover over it, and then that first guy, it impacted on the surface. He blew up the grill or the covering, and then Luke goes in and gets the 1 in a million shot.
Oh my god, that's fucking.
Because like I like again, I really like that. I liked Rogue One, but I did not like that aspect where they're like, look, this Death Star is a piece of shit. I designed it to be a piece of shit and blow up. It's super easy to blow up. All you got to do is this. And then, because it's like in Star Wars, the big thing is that Luke does this thing that's impossible. It's like Lord of the Rings. Like in Lord of the Rings, they say it's basically impossible to get this ring to Mordor right in the backyard of the enemy and get it in this volcano. It's like impossible, but Bilbo somehow, or Frodo somehow does it, and like Luke somehow does this impossible thing of getting this like missile to go on this perfect trajectory straight down this thing without like blowing up again on the surface, hitting the sides of this thing and go all the way. It's impossible. And he's only able to do it by communing with the like universal power of the universe in this way that like only he can do, and it's this amazing achievement, and he becomes famous and celebrated for it. Like that's sort of the crux of like the ending of Star Wars. And then we have this other movie that says super easy, it was designed to blow up, it's a piece of shit, this thing ain't built to last, so it kind of undercuts that. So like to me that's like an extra little thing of like, oh, how come they didn't put a cover on it? Well, maybe they did, and that first guy blew it up. Yeah, motherfuckers.
Yeah, fuck you fucking fucks.
And it's like in Rogue One, they're like, okay, this thing's gonna blow up. My dad designed it to blow up. Here's the plans of how to blow it up or whatever. And then in Star Wars, and then they hand it off to Princess Leia. And then in Star Wars, Princess Leia is like, we got the plans for the Death Star. Hopefully we'll be able to study them, and maybe we'll hopefully find some kind of weakness to this. It's not like shouldn't she have, if all this stuff in Rogue One is true, shouldn't she say like, the girl whose dad designed it gave me these plans, she said it's a total piece of shit and you can blow it up super easy, anybody can do, any asshole can do it. And he's like, I don't remember Carrie Fisher saying this.
No!
I don't remember anybody editing that into Star Wars. So anyway, that's my thing about Rogue One. I like Rogue One other than that aspect. And I know some people like Rogue One because of that aspect. They're like, it's impossible. Like, they made this stupid Death Star. How come Luke's able to blow it up so easy? There's got to be an explanation. It's like, thank God somebody made Rogue One and gave an explanation to how, because it's been killing me. How does he blow this thing up? And it's like, well, that's kind of the point. the point is, this thing he did is impossible.
That guy saying that is like a Yitzer in his driveway leaning on like a Trans Am or whatever.
I mean, I feel like that guy got into like the writing room of Rogue One. It's like, hey, you know, like you don't make sequels and prequels that say, oh, remember all those classic Star Wars movies that you love so much? They're stupid and they suck. Luke Skywalker's an asshole.
Meaningless.
Like, he blew up the Death Star, but really anybody could have done it. Yeah.
I love that it impacted on the surface.
Oh, you mean for Byron Cope? It impacted on the surface.
But, dude, we got it. You got to somehow edit this together. Like, you incorporate shots from The Dark Knight Rises when Bane's blowing up.
Blowing up, yeah.
It just shows the box blow up, or like the physics. It impacted on this.
It impacted on the surface.
Many Bothan spies died.
It's a wave! It impacted on the surface.
Stay on target.
Stay on target. Stay on target. That's like how you know, like when they talk about Marcia Lucas working some editing magic to make that thing work, because it is like they're like playing the same like vocal loops again. Like, stay on target. Like it doesn't seem that different from the Atari Star Wars arcade game. You know, it's like these very like, you know, fake sound. Stay on target.
Bothan spies that we found an exhaust.
Bothan spies were in Return of the Jedi. That's another like common
Oh, no.
It wasn't Bothan spies. It was just spies.
Oh, okay.
In Star Wars, there's Bothan spies in Return of the Jedi.
I'm gonna get like
it's a common
fucking
mistake.
roasted. They're like aim for Myron Cope. He's
aim for Myron Cope's toop.
That tube stoked to the bone with vodka, right?
Oh, it impacted and so that's the cover.
It just blows his tube, man.
So he burns up.
Dak, they're like, we got it.
We vaporized his tube.
We have a transmission coming through. Deck the halls with the Broncos. They're just yonkers.
A transmission from the Galactic Empire.
Deck the halls with the Broncos. They're just yonkers.
Did you ever track down your VHS of Empire Strikes Back?
Oh shit, no. I haven't looked for that one. I got it. It's like we're getting it's the NBC.
It was Goulardi or something.
Oh shit!
We're getting a transmission from the Galactic Empire, and tonight on Who's the Boss? Tony and Angela, the living is becoming a loving. Angela's having a loving with the living. Bullseye warmth rats down the south side. And my T16. Your T16 is like, you know, like a K car or something. 16.
Jerome Bettis, the bus isn't getting much yardage. It's like he's running around the swamps of Dagobah.
In Yoda's backyard at Dagobah. So Book of Boba Fett, you're on board.
I'm on board.
You're going to check out the rest of it. Yeah, me too. Yep. I'm on board. Not as stoked as I was with The Mandalorian, but still pretty hooked. Hooked.
I can't wait. I think it says it's wrapping up February 9th, so I think it shouldn't be too long. 7 episodes.
Yeah, that seems to be the template here. I'm definitely like way more like hooked to the like Star Wars like the Star Wars streaming shows than like the Marvel. Like again, they're all good. Like I enjoyed what I saw of Falcon and Winter Soldier, but I didn't finish it.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoyed what I saw of Loki, didn't finish it. I enjoyed what I saw of Hawkeye, didn't finish it. But these like Star Wars ones, it's like, soak it all in.
It's exciting, and I mean, we can't a world with more Boba Fett action.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a huge Star Wars fan. I went out to see every single one of these. I was like, I loved Solo. I love like. You know, and again, like I said, I enjoyed Rogue One, but my inner like angry nerd is my inner angry video game nerd is like there's some stuff that rubs that part of me the wrong way, but yeah, like I'm on board for all of it. I was bummed when they were like, "Yep, Star Wars is done." Like Solo flopped.
Forget about it.
Yeah, so we're done with Star Wars movies. No, like it was like they had this slate of like, okay, Star Wars movies, going off into the year like 30 or whatever, and then like Solo flopped. No more Star Wars.
Forget about it. We're clearing the slate off.
So it's like, okay, I'm you know, if we're getting these like awesome TV shows, then
Keep them coming.
Yeah, keep them coming. Hopefully, we'll get a theatrical release at some point. But,
yes. Yeah. And hopefully, like maybe Jeremy Bullock.
Yeah, Jeremy
is
Bullock,
he alive? I'm not sure.
I don't know if he's alive. I mean, he's got to be retired at this point.
Yeah.
You know? Maybe he's got a cameo in one of the, you know, if you see like a super skinny old man, if you see like you know, Count Olaf or something in one of these,
like Mick Jagger,
yeah,
on Slim Fast,
right. So yeah, this has been the Book of Boba Fett episode of Total Recall. I'm Tom Scioli, author of Jack Kirby, The Epic Life of the King of Comics, and Fantastic Four Grand Design.
I'm Matt Zeoli.
And you can follow me on Twitter at Tom Scioli or on Instagram at Tom_Scioli. And check out my Patreon. Go to patreon.com, search Tom Scioli, and it's all the different, you know, comics and things that I'm working on at the moment.
Follow me on Instagram at cinema_tomb.
And, you know, we'll see you later in a galaxy far, far away.
Yeah. It's the Mandalorian.
No, Book of Boba Fett. Book of Boba Fett. Book of Boba Fett. Book of Boba Fett. He's a Mandalorian, and so was Jango Fett. The Knights of Mandalore. They'll explain the connection. He fell in the sarlacc pit. Took over Jabba the Hutt's whole deal. Sits upon his throne. When's he gonna make somebody fall into the trapdoor?
The Rancor Keeper
is still there crying. He never got over it. He wants revenge on Luke. That's the next series. Is the Rancor Keeper. He's the next big bad. But first they're going to do a different Rancor Keeper because they decided not to make it directly tied into that one. And then he's going to make a cameo in the Rancor Keeper series, and then they'll have a second series that is the original Rancor Keeper played by the same actor. He's aged a lot.
And he's muscular.
Yeah, he's aged a whole lot since Return of the Jedi. You know, this is supposed to be taking place immediately after the events of Return of the Jedi.
He also has a ferocious tan for some reason.
And Hollywood choppers. He's got Hollywood choppers.
And a real ferocious dad.